The British are rebelling. Admittedly, it is at the moment a very British rebellion, a very polite rebellion, consisting merely of putting up a few St. George crosses here and there, rather than mounting their politicians on crosses. But hey, we can but hope, I do suppose, as there's been a lot of videos popping up over social media showing off a tremendous number of St. George flags being raised, particularly in Birmingham, but also across Britain. And this is intriguing for multiple reasons. Now, it began, in many cases, in Birmingham here, as you see. St. George and Union Jack flags tied to lampposts around Birmingham. This happened after a handful of flags were raised in this fashion and then were taken down by the Birmingham City Council, whilst allowing certain other flags apparently to remain up. Labour Council removing St. George flag, too scared to remove Palestine flag. Now, to be fair, they did eventually remove the Palestine flag as well, but man, isn't that just the most telling thing ever? The Birmingham Council in England have no problems whatsoever ripping down the English flag. They don't expect any backlash, there's nothing problematic about it, they don't expect somebody to, resist this order. That's something they just do like they're taking out the trash. But removing the Palestine flag, the flag of a foreign power, oh, no, that's dangerous. The Palestinians might do something about it, unlike the pussy-whipped English. And considering the fact as well that Birmingham, and I believe this is actually outdated now, I think it's a 5 or 6, 7 month year long trash strike in Birmingham because Birmingham is bankrupt. The Birmingham City Council is more concerned with Pakistan Independence Day than making sure that the city that they're supposed to be ruling isn't drowning in trash. You would think that in a situation like this, you should be shit-fuck scared the moment English flags start appearing in the streets. That really does strike me as, if I was the foreign colonial authority, in essence, that has been sent into a country to suck its resources dry with luxurious wages and bonuses, whilst making sure that nothing actually gets done in the city I am in, if that city is suddenly covered in flags of that city's nationality, I'd be booking an airline ticket, but oh well. Now, this has, of course, caused a couple of reactions. For example, here, lads in Birmingham paint a roundabout with the St. George Cross after the Labour Council tore their flags down. So this is obviously the beginning of the reaction. No, how dare you tear our flag down whilst hoisting your own in every way imaginable? Fuck you. But the loyal collaborators, of course, then go, lads in Birmingham criminally damaging roundabouts, which will be repainted at the cost of the taxpayer. I have this sneaking suspicion, incidentally, that judging by this here, I don't think this person would necessarily be in opposition to, say, I don't know, proud sidewalks or anything like that. Consider me paranoid if you will, but I have a sneaking suspicion. And you've also got the BBC getting in on it. Roundabouts vandalised to look like St. George's flag. Vandalised. Also, who's driving across the roundabout? That's not the purpose of it, just in case anybody was confused. And you, of course, also got various fifth columnists, like Narinder Kaur here, who has loudly proclaimed herself to be British whilst demonstrating very few actual signs of it, and also claiming eagerly that she is as proud of her heritage, more so than her British one, apparently. Going around raising flags in what's apparently called Operation Raise the Colours, intentionally in front of a Turkish barber and Chinese takeaway, where they probably got a fresh trim and a Chinese before heading home, thick as fuck. See, this, of course, is the elitist perspective. As we've seen on multiple occasions, if you chase out the foreigners, who's going to mow our lawns? Well, that's too damn bad. This is the same thing. Where will I get my Turkish haircut if you get rid of the foreigners? Where will I get my Chinese food? Well, here's the thing. Firstly, you wrongfully assume that these individuals value these things more than their country's goddamn independence. But secondly, this isn't actually an anti-foreign thing operation. By definition, this is an English thing. I'm presuming that the proprietors of the Chinese food store and the Turkish barber are probably legals. They've probably been in England for possibly generations. See, England has had a long and proud history of actually effective immigration and integration with a significant Sikh populace. Hell, I remember there was an Indian stand-up comedian who was like, listen, we Indians have our own home country. It's called England. That's how effective the English integration was until it was swamped, deliberately so. See, here's the thing. This isn't a complaint about the foreign in and of itself. This is the complaint about the foreign being forced upon England. And not merely forced upon England, but replacing England. When again, the council, ran by Pakistanis, celebrating Pakistani Independence Day, give no shit about the city they're supposed to be running, that happily take down Union Jacks and St. George flags, but hesitate to take down the same for Palestine, you are living in a colonized country. You are no longer an independent nation. You have become a satrapy. And the English have finally started to realize that. And thing too is, the St. George flag is a big tell here. Why isn't it the Union Jack? Well, because the Union Jack is official. The Union Jack is what would be used by Narendra Kaur to go, hey, this country is for everyone. Look, our flag is an amalgamation of other flags. And I know they bring up a Union Jack here, by the way, but the majority of these appear to be St. George flags. Now, the St. George flag is not an amalgamation of other flags. It is the English flag. This is English nationalism going, no, England is the entity that we wish to protect. The United Kingdom is all well and good and can come into second place, but the United Kingdom is the institution of our political elite. It is the institution that opens its door to everyone, that brings this in and allows it to thrive. This is the United Kingdom. England, however, has had enough of having its flag replaced by that of a foreign power. Now, the question then becomes, do we expect this to lead anywhere, go anywhere serious? No, I don't think so. Not yet. I believe this is simply just going to be a demonstration of national pride for the moment. Hopefully, it will lead to a rallying movement against Birmingham City Council, at the very least, to try and clear out the obviously either incompetent or actively corrupt elements in the Birmingham City Council. The very self-ones that, again, they're bankrupt, but they can afford to light up their public buildings in the colours of the Pakistan flag. Which, again, holy... If you're bankrupt, I don't want to see the lights on. I want you, the bureaucrats that caused this, to work in pitch fucking darkness. I want you, in the middle of winter, to sit huddled in a tiny office around a fucking bonfire, if needs must. No electrical heating, no lightning, no nothing. You are bankrupt and you caused this, so suffer. But long term, if this, and here's the thing, this is going to get cracked down upon aggressively, I guarantee you. These flags will not be allowed to stay up, and in all due likelihood, the English police will be on it as some form of a hate crime or public endangerment, and okay, all right, there is an argument to be had there that this endangers traffic. All right, true, if the flag were to simply rip itself loose off the flagpole and then drape itself perfectly across the windshield of a speeding car, yeah, absolutely, that could be dangerous, but much like Operation Catcall, that just isn't the first priority anymore amongst the English. The potential harm that could be done in a theoretical scenario due to a flag no longer really registers anymore. It isn't important anymore. The cult of safety does not override the need to go, no, this is actually our city. Or, well, even is it? I think Sargon mentioned that Birmingham was something like 40% English or something, so... And hopefully as well, this will lead to a bit more of a directly nativist movement. Again, the Union Jack is all fella fine and good, but it is a British, it is a inclusive flag first and foremost. I think that if true British patriotism is to rise, it needs to rise first and foremost in the form of England. And then you can worry about the United Kingdom thereafter. It's nice to see, isn't it? Nice to see a flag that isn't the pride flag in the streets for once. Best of luck, England. You're going to need it. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.